If you are looking for the Massachusetts Innovation Career Pathways Network Welcome event, you have come to the right place. And as we get started, we want to say welcome back to everyone and give a special welcome to anyone who is here for the first time at one of our events for the Innovation Career Pathways community of practice. So we are expecting upwards of 80 people here today, and we are getting close to 50 now. But out of respect for everyone's time and our full agenda, we're going to get going and begin with a couple of technical notes about this webinar. So we are recording the webinar, and we do that so that we can post it on our maicp.org website so that you can refer back to it or share it with a colleague who was not able to attend today. We also have closed captioning available for the webinar, and you can activate that by following the directions that are currently posted on the slide. The live button in the upper left-hand corner and the small arrow to the right of that will give you the option to activate real-time closed captions.
Naishka Vasquez, please report to your box. Naishka Vasquez, please report to your box.
We do appreciate it if you are able to mute your sound. We know that many of you are taking time away from a busy school day and at dismissal time, and thank you for being here. My name is Annie Leonard. I'm the Director of Coaching at the Center for Collaborative Education. And there's some information about CCE here on your screen. We are proud to partner with DESE in providing professional learning and technical assistance for the MAICP community of practice. And that is aligned with our mission of increasing educational equity to ensure that students succeed and communities thrive. We want you to know something about the MAICP team that's here in the room today. So we'll make some introductions. So I've introduced myself, and I want you to know that from CCE, there are two colleagues of mine who regularly support our network on the technical side. Allison is here today. If you run into any technical glitches or have a question, please feel free to message her in the chat and she will try to help you out. Phoenicia is not with us today, but she also provides support for our network events. And I'm very pleased to have two coaches from CCE who are joining our Innovation Career Pathways team this year, and they are Scarlett and Corbett. And you will all get a chance to get to know them better in the future. So for today, a big welcome to them. And with that, I will pass to my DESE colleague, Jennifer, to introduce herself and any DESE colleagues that are in the room.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. So great to see so many of you here. Welcome to the new slate of activities for the 2023-24 calendar or school year, I should say. I'm Jennifer Gwatkin. I'm the Innovation Career Pathways lead at DESE and have been supporting Innovation Career Pathways since their inception back in 2016, 2017. So it's great to see how this community has really come to fruition in partnership with the Center for Collaborative Education. And I will turn it over to my colleague, Latoya, to introduce herself.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. My name is Latoya Tavernier. I work with Jennifer as a partner in crime on Innovation Career Pathways. I am also a liaison for 14 districts that have Chapter 74 CTE programs, and I've already seen some folks that I know and work with already in the room. So hello, hi. Look out for email from me in the near future.
Thanks, Latoya and Jennifer. I also want to mention that we are really excited to introduce to you the new cohort of Innovation Career Pathways peer ambassadors. You can see their names and their roles and their schools or districts here on the slide. Some of them are able to join us today, and we may hear from them later, and you'll certainly hear more about the peer ambassadors and the terrific resource that they offer to our community of practice. We always like to start the events with a connections activity. And for today, because this is a launch event, we thought we would ask how much you currently know about Innovation Career Pathways by using a Zoom poll, which I'll launch in just a minute. So as I mentioned, we're really thrilled that there are a lot of folks who are in the application pipeline this year, so in the design and planning process. There may be folks who are in the room who are really brand new to our network. And then we know that there are a bunch of you here who are deeply engaged with the work. So let's launch the poll and ask you to respond in the next 30 seconds or so. All right, we've heard from well over half of the people in the room. Another second to respond if you would like. So we're up over 50 responses. And I hope you can now see that we have a really nice spread of folks across the very experienced, somewhat experienced, and brand new to the work. So we try hard to make our offerings relevant to people at various phases in the process. And you'll hear more today about some of the ways that we're differentiating our offerings this year to meet those needs. So our goals for today are to help you understand the guiding principles and core characteristics of Innovation Career Pathways, to provide information about what we're offering in 2023-24 for professional learning and other resources that are available to you as a member of this network, and then to offer you a chance to build some connections and share ideas across our network by being in breakouts with colleagues later on. And to do that, we're going to follow this agenda, which is pretty straightforward. So without further ado, I think we will move into the first content section, where I'm going to pass over to Jennifer and Latoya to provide an introduction to Innovation Career Pathways.
All right, so launched in 2017, Innovation Career Pathways is a part of the high quality college and career pathways at DESE. Participation in this kind of pathway personalizes and contextualizes learning, promotes deeper engagement in their high school experience, and can lead students towards opportunities for meaningful careers in relevant industry sectors as a part of our project to reimagine high schools. 1 second. Trying to move something. There it goes. Innovation Career Pathways connects student learning to a broadly defined industry sector that is in high demand in the regional and state economy, and guides students to relevant post-secondary education and training. All pathways are designed to increase equitable access and outcomes by eliminating barriers to student participation and success. Pathways are based on partnerships between high schools and local mass hire workforce boards, employers, and include technical and advanced coursework and 100-hour work-based learning experience that is either an internship or a capstone. Next slide, please. So within that, there are 5 guiding principles that Innovation Career Pathways is grounded in to provide a framework for the pathway experience. That is equitable access, guided academic pathways, enhanced student support, connection to career, and effective partnerships. To receive a designation, applicants are required to demonstrate that its pathway are rooted in all 5 of these guiding principles. Next slide, please. Thank you. Applicants must propose a program aligned with career opportunities in a broad industry sector category with high employer demand identified by the Workforce Skills Cabinet regional blueprint process. There are 6 priority industry sectors. That is advanced manufacturing, business and finance, environmental and life sciences, healthcare and social assistance, information, and clean energy, which is currently in a pilot program for the 2023-2024 school year. Through the course of the year, we will offer numerous opportunities for folks to learn about the sectors and connect with other schools working on those pathways.
You can come in. I'm just on a webinar that's
Okay,
whatever.
I have a student.
Thank you for muting. And
Jennifer.
in looking at this next slide, Jennifer, correct me if I have the wrong number for clean energy pilot schools, please.
You have the correct number for clean
Okay.
energy pilot schools. There are 6 of them, and we have yet to announce who those schools are because we're waiting for a formal approval. I think I'm never supposed to say that out loud, that we're waiting for a formal approval, but you'll be learning who those pilot districts are in the coming weeks. But yeah, this is the spread of the current pathways by sector. You see, it's quite the distribution, and Mass Higher boards are engaged with this with the districts on all of these sectors. They help to inform the coursework and help direct participating schools to partnerships within these industry sectors. As you can see on this next slide, we're up to 183 pathways in the Commonwealth, distributed across 78 schools. We're everywhere from Nantucket, Cape and Islands, all the way to the Berkshires. Quite a presence in the Berkshires actually now at this point. And as of this fall, we are anticipating having over 6,500 students enrolled in designated pathways programs. So very excited considering that we started with 7 districts back in 2017, 2018, and now we're up to 78. And I think with this next cohort, fingers crossed, we might cross the 100 school landmark or milestone rather. So I think that we can probably go to the next slide. The moment you guys are all waiting for, hearing about funding for Innovation Career Pathways. To date, we've used grant funding to support Innovation Career Pathways. We are fortunate to have money in the state budget this year as well as last year, and I believe some the year before, but everything is being funded out of the state budget. We have planning grants that support applicants who are preparing for designation. We issue a competitive RFP in the spring, and applicants are eligible for a maximum award of $25,000. We do give preference because it is a competitive grant to school districts that have not received grants in the past. Just to give a sense of timing on that for those of you who are new to this, those RFPs post in the spring, and the submissions for the grants are due in mid-June. We are still awaiting, for those of you who are biting your nails trying to hear if you found out about your planning grants for this year. You should have gotten an announcement from me alerting you that you do have a start date for this grant, still awaiting Gov approval on when you would determine when you would be allowed to draw down on those grants. But those awards are happening. For programs that have brand newly designated Innovation Career Pathways, we have implementation grants. Those are used to support staffing, provide for instructional materials and career resources. In fiscal 24, the maximum grant award amount is $75,000. So that's for programs that are in their first year of implementation. And then for years 2 through 5 of the designation, because we do issue designations on a 5-year sort of contractual basis, we award support grants, and those are a maximum of $50,000 per year. We also, to support technology and equipment, provide funding through the Workforce Skills Cabinet's Capital Skills Grant Program, and that is administered by our Executive Office of Education. And I understand that the fiscal 24 round one awards are still pending. So I know a lot of you are waiting for that. Keep the faith, you'll be hearing soon.
Thank you for that information, Jennifer. And you're really highlighting an important point, I think, for folks who are newer to our network. It's sometimes confusing what information is available on the DESE website and what you can find on maicp.org. So I just want to mention that grant information and official Part A and Part B applications and designation criteria, those things are found on the DESE Innovation Career Pathways page. And then we're going to turn our attention momentarily to talk about the resources that are found on maicp.org, which is the website for the Community of Practice. And you may want to click through and open maicp.org in a different tab and follow along with me. If you're not so familiar with the site, this will be a quick orientation to where to find things that can help you in your planning and implementation of pathways in your district or school. So this is on the slide, just a screenshot of the top of the front page of this website. And what you will see there is our homepage, and also the first thing that you could click on is the prospective applicants page. So currently posted there are the resources from last May's webinar, and links to DESE resources that are especially useful for people who are entering the application cycle this year. Moving along to the right, you will find a pull down which will take you to archived events, past event resources. And those are organized by category so that you can seek out past events that are related to a particular need that you have at this time. Also on that pull down, you will find upcoming events. We hope that you visit this page frequently because it's where you can read about and register for both the virtual events and later in the year, some in-person events for our community of practice. Their information is shared there both in text form and on a Google Calendar. So moving along to the right on the pull down menus, I'm going to skip the toolkit for a moment and just note that there is a tab there for the peer ambassadors. It doesn't yet feature this year's cohort of peer ambassadors, but it will soon. It will provide you with contact information, a list of special areas of expertise that these peer ambassadors hold. It will tell you what pathways they are designated in, and provide a link to their Innovation Career Pathways website or web page if they have one. So that's a really awesome way to learn more about the peer ambassadors, and we'll get that updated information there as soon as we can. You can also find, moving further to the right, a network contact list for the wider community of practice, and then a Meet the Team page where we post information about the DESE and CCE folks who collaborate on this professional learning endeavor. Okay, we are going to go now into the toolkit section, and I want to introduce you to some of what you can find and really how to navigate this toolkit. Again, especially if you are in the application and pathway design process. So our toolkit is divided into sections. Section 1 has some official DESE resources and includes also links to tools like the resources that are available for MyCap. And as you know, MyCap participation is a requirement for schools participating in Innovation Career Pathways. The School Finder tool is also linked there, and we'll share that link in the chat. That's another way of learning who else is working on developing and implementing pathways. In the second section are resources that are related to the guiding principles you heard about earlier, and high quality college and career pathways in general. In section 3 of the toolkit, there are a variety of tools from the Center for Collaborative Education that really support a rigorous and broad stakeholder participation in your planning and continuous improvement. And at our next event on September 27th, we'll really be digging into some of those tools and how to use them to design equitable, effective, and sustainable pathways. And then in section 4 of the Innovation Career Pathways Toolkit, I like to call this a pantry of resources because it is always changing. It's not always the easiest to find the thing that you're looking for in this pantry, but there is tons and tons of great stuff there. We're constantly adding to it, and we're really grateful to receive recommendations from the field for both artifacts, things like sample memorandums of understanding and job descriptions, information about industry recognized credentials, examples of coursework scope and sequence, lots of different resources that we gather also from researchers working nationwide in the work-based learning and college and career readiness domains that we think might be helpful to you. So please explore that as well. And then the last thing I want to mention, actually, before we go on to the FAQ, just let me ask whether any of the peer ambassadors in the room want to unmute or pop something into the chat about a tool in the toolkit that you found useful when you were in the early stages of the process?
Annie, I don't mind mentioning that we utilize the toolkit to kind of wrap our heads around what was expected, and it really was like a nice trail or a nice guide for us as we went through the pathway design process in Carver. And then the other piece that was super valuable is it really allowed us to do some norming around the guiding principles and what that would look like in action when we actually enacted the pathway.
Super, thank you so much. That's Meredith Erickson from Carver, thank you. So I'll just show you briefly an example of a scope and sequence that is found in Toolkit section 4. This is something that was shared to illustrate what a pathway sequence of courses and then parallel career advising experiences might look like. We won't dive into this in detail today, but just so you know, this is the kind of thing that you can find in there to help you wrap your head around this process. We then also have an FAQ guide. This is a document which we update frequently with questions from the field. It newly features an acronym translator, which is designed because we know we use a lot of acronyms. We don't want that to be confusing and off-putting. So please always ask if you hear one that you don't understand, and feel free to check the FAQ for acronym translation, but also lots more wisdom accumulated over the years based on questions that have come to us from people working on their pathways. All right, So we are happily ahead of schedule, and that is good news because it's going to give us some more time to spend in breakout conversation, which I know is always something that we get positive feedback about from these events. Before we tell you exactly what's going to happen in those breakouts, I do want to take a minute to review with you the community agreements that we have adopted for use in our community of practice. And if you've read our welcome document, you have already seen these. If you've attended past events, you've probably seen them. The peer ambassadors last year were really helpful in our understanding of how important it is that the quality of our community of practice is constructive and positive, and equity centered and student focused. So in order to develop and maintain those qualities in our community of practice, these are the community agreements that we work by and live by. And I just invite you to read over them and consider which ones you want to perhaps especially focus on when you are spending time in a breakout room with colleagues today. And we always welcome your feedback about these norms and how they are helping or could help more you gain from your engagement in these activities. So in a moment, we are going to send you to breakout rooms, and they are going to be mixed, random breakout rooms, small enough so that you can have some focused conversation over the course of probably 13 or 14 minutes of time. So in order to encourage the sharing of airtime during those breakouts, we suggest that you take these prompts in 3 rounds. And that in the first round, you introduce yourselves with your name, your role and school, and the pathways that you're either designated in and or are proposing. So 1 round for introductions. In the second round, if you can briefly describe a challenge that you are currently facing in developing or sustaining your pathways, right? This can be something that you know you are going to need to work on over the course of this year. It could be something that has been on your mind for a while or something that has just cropped up. But that you think you might be able to share and learn something about either today or raise a question that you might come back to later. That's round 2. And then in the third round, we invite you to begin to discuss possible strategies, or if you have a piece of advice or a lesson you've learned through your experience with pathways that might apply to the challenges that you heard in the previous round, we invite you to share that. Acknowledging that this is a short period of time and we will not be able to go deeply into any particular challenge, we still know that just knowing that there are people out there that have been through the same challenges and that you might get a good idea today can be a really motivating and spirit lifting experience. So with that, and looking at the clock, I am going to ask Allison to send our attendees out to breakout rooms, and let's
make them a 14-minute breakout, and we will put the prompts in the chat, so that should follow you into the breakout, and we'll send periodic reminders of time to make sure that you're moving along through the rounds. So welcome back, everybody, and we hope that you had rich conversation in your breakout group. We know that there may be questions that came up that you are still wondering about, and we encourage you to pop something in the chat if there is a question that is still on your mind. The other thing that's super important at this stage is for you to be thinking about your key takeaways from this webinar. This has been pretty content heavy. We put a lot of information out there, both about what innovation career pathways are, how they work, and resources available to you as you're doing your work on them. So please take a moment now to consider your key takeaways. And again, if you would like to pop something in the chat about what you learned today and how you plan to apply it, whether that's a specific action that you might take, or a resource, or a question that you want to bring back to your team, we would love to know about that as well. So feel free to use the chat for that purpose. And so we'll try to keep an eye on the chat as we go into the closing parts of today's webinar. First, we want to take some time to walk you through some upcoming events that may be of interest to you. And I want to mention that I hope everyone has had a chance to take a look at the one-page, it's now a two-page document, but a calendar overview document that we sent out via email, and Allison's put that link in the chat for you. The one-pager is really designed to give you a sense across the whole year of what kinds of opportunities are going to be available. And then about 4 weeks in advance of any event that requires registration, we will be striving to get that detailed information and registration link posted on the maicp.org events and registration page. So we'll pop that link into the chat as well. So for anyone who is thinking about a future application, or who knows that you are going forward with the Part A and B applications and design process this year, we encourage you to register for the September 27th workshop. It's a morning session, 9 to 10:30, and it will be a very interactive session where you'll have multiple opportunities to explore problems of practice that may be coming up in your planning and design phases, and we'll share lots of tools and tips for moving through this process. During the week of October 10th, we will offer virtual office hours for everyone who's in the Part A application phase. And that is the place where very specific questions about the application and how it applies in your setting can get some one-on-one or small group consultation with DESE and CCE staff and whoever from your school team wants to attend. So watch your inbox for information on how to sign up for virtual office hours. On the 19th of October,
we are super excited to be planning a virtual program spotlight event that is going to feature the advanced manufacturing pathway in Carver. So Meredith Erickson, who is here today, and her team will be introducing us to the specifics of their advanced manufacturing pathway. And also coming very soon to your inbox will be information on our professional learning community series for the 2023-24 school year. So based on feedback from last year's PLCs, which were fewer and were single events rather than series, we have expanded significantly what we're offering this year. And there will be a 3-meeting series for each of the 5 established industry sectors. Those will be co-facilitated by a CCE coach and a peer ambassador who has that sector designation. And we think this is going to be a great opportunity for folks from schools and districts to really focus in on the industry sector. And we hope very much that teachers who are teaching courses in pathways for these sectors will consider signing up for the PLC. So they're not just going to be about the kind of practicalities and partnership development, but really an emphasis on teaching and learning related to those high demand, broad industry sectors. There's also going to be a specialized PLC for those of you who have internship or pathway coordinator as your job title, and a PLC for schools that are serving high percentages of high need students. So you can watch your inbox for registration for those PLCs. You are welcome to register for more than one. We will schedule them so they don't overlap, because we recognize many people are in places that have multiple pathways designated. And we are really excited about the collaboration and the dialogue that's going to be possible in these PLCs. Last but not least, we are in the planning stages for an in-person event. That's also something we heard lots of feedback about, desire for more in-person opportunities. And we're very grateful to the folks at Amherst Regional High School who are going to host an event that will be partly a program spotlight, where we'll learn about their newly designated pathway, and also will include components of the Designing for Equity workshop. So for anyone who is in the application process this year, we encourage you to think about that one as a way of focusing on equitable access and equitable outcomes in your pathway design. Finally, we always provide an event survey. And we really do read these carefully and rely on them to plan future events. So even though the full scope of our year is out there, we always take your input very seriously and plan our events to meet your needs. So please take a few minutes now to click through to this link. I will include it in the follow-up email tomorrow as well, but if you have a minute now, we would like you to complete this survey while your thoughts are fresh. And as an added enticement to complete the survey itself is anonymous, but once you have taken a couple of minutes to complete it, you will be offered a chance to provide your email and be entered in a prize drawing that happens at the end of the school year. So the more events you attend and the more surveys you complete, the more chances you have to be a winner when we draw names from a hat for a raffle prize at the end of the year. And so with that, we are going to get ready to close out for today. I want to ask those of you who are following things in the chat if there's anything you'd like to bring up to the group before we close.
We had some questions in the chat, and I think that we've been able to address all of them. There had been a question from Michelle Bigelow about, September 27th webinar, if it's just for people who are planning, or if folks, it would be helpful for those with a designation who are still trying to wrap their head around it. We say, come one, come all, anyone who wants some more grounding, whatever they need for Innovation Career Pathways is welcome to attend.
That's absolutely true. And I'm really grateful for that question, because I think often folks who are even a couple of years into implementation are still working on continuous improvement and can still benefit from this workshop, and also can be very helpful in our problem of practice breakout spaces in providing their learned experience to the folks who are newer.
And I know over the last few weeks, I've had conversations with folks who are brand new in their districts. Perhaps they're a new pathways coordinator, and want to point out that if you're brand new, that this is a great opportunity for you to meet some of your peers and really get an orientation to all the supports that we will provide throughout the year for you. Christine Wu asked, what is shared in a spotlight session?
So the spotlights really try to give you practical and up close information about a particular pathway in a particular setting, and acknowledging that while not everything is going to be transferable, it's super important for every place to work in their own context and culture and community. There's still it's a lot of fun. It can be very inspiring to hear about the work that others are doing, the challenges that they're facing, and how they are carrying on through them.
We had a wonderful spotlight session at Woburn High School, and I will, point out that Kimberly Gustenhoven, who was the host for that, did an amazing job.
And we had a great virtual one last year with our peer ambassador, Robert Perry, who is also in the room, focusing on Atlantis Charter School and its wall-to-wall model. So we've hit 3 o'clock, and we want to thank you very much for coming, and look forward to seeing you at another event soon. Thank you so much.